Good morning. Welcome to Allen Avenue Unitarian Universalist Church. Whether today is your first time here or you've been coming for years, we're so glad you're here. My name is Angie Dirks, and my pronouns are she and her, and I'm serving as this morning's worship associate. We are growing a community that transforms lives through the power of love. And our mission calls us to celebrate diversity, encourage spiritual growth, and promote social responsibility while we travel on and care for the earth. A special welcome to those at home who are joining us on Zoom today. If you're attending for the first time, please fill out the welcome card on our website so that we can get to know you. I have 3 announcements. Please join Reverend Tara and the Greater Portland Multi-Faith Clergy Group for the 3rd annual Multi-Faith MLK service this afternoon at 2 p.m. at the First Congregational Church in South Portland, featuring the Sea Change Chorale. It will be a moving and uplifting afternoon with a reception to follow. Anyone who identifies as LGBTQIA or questioning is invited to join the Queer Community Conversations group after worship today at 11:30 in the gathering room down the hall and on Zoom. Child care is available. This is the first month of the new meeting time, 11:30 a.m. on the 3rd Sunday every month. A reminder from the Social Justice Committee, if you plan to attend the Common Read discussion on Saturday, January 31st, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., lunch provided, please contact Julie Harrison to RSVP. There are still books available to purchase in the foyer for the Common Read. Now, we invite you to take this opportunity to silence your cell phone so that we can be fully present to one another. After the service, please grab a cup of coffee or tea and stay for conversation, or head down to the end of the long hallway to join a group for the brown bag brunch. Those on Zoom may stay on and connect with one another. And now, let us center our hearts and minds with the sound of the singing bowl.
Good morning. I am Reverend Tara. They, them pronouns. I serve as the minister here at A2U2, Allen Avenue Unitarian Universalist Church. It's good to be together. We gather on this MLK weekend. Many of us this week anxious and fearful about the news that federal immigration officials will be arriving, have already arrived in our community in the days and even hours to come in search of our neighbors, coworkers, clients, and friends. We gather with all that we carry in our hearts for this news and reality, as well as all the life stuff that all of us have going on personally. And we gather because community is and will be our salvation. I'm glad you are here. This weekend, through our stress and grief and fear, we pause to honor the incredible legacy of the civil rights movement, to get back in touch with its lessons about justice organizing, about resilience, about power, about nonviolent resistance and non-compliance, about courage, and about community. Many refer to the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. as a prophet of recent history. And while, as we talked about last week, a categorization like that depends on how we define particular words, it is the case that Dr. King spoke with a prophetic voice, articulated an astute social critique, and led with a moral courage that has inspired generations. It is fitting that today we dive into the second part of our 2-week series, The Prophet's Journey, exploring the societal role of the prophet in ancient times and drawing parallels to our world today. Last week we focused on the outer journey the prophets called us into, their people, from the shadows through holy chaos into a more just and loving world. This morning, we'll reflect on the inner journey that the prophets modeled for us through their writing in the Hebrew Bible. From judgment and anger, through tears and brokenheartedness, to a deep and profound well of compassion and connectedness with all that is. Our children and youth are taking the full hour this morning for their annual session, Building the Beloved Community Fort. Through play and creative problem solving, they are practicing what it looks like to be a people of sanctuary and hospitality, values so desperately needed in these times. Littles are welcome to stay in the sanctuary or head partway down the hall for childcare at any point. With a breath, friends, or whatever else you need to arrive fully, let us bring our attention to this time and this place we share together. Hear now these words of invocation. Let us wake up, not just from the Sunday morning exhaustion, from the wish for a few more drowsy minutes in bed. Let us wake up to this world we live in its beauty and wonder, and also its tragedy and pain. We must wake up to this reality that not all in our world have what we do, however much or little that is. We must wake up to this idea that our wholeness, our lives, are only as complete as the lives of those around us, of those we are inextricably tied to in a great web of mutuality, of which we are all a part. We must stay awake, stay woke, so to speak, in the words of our friends and colleagues in the Black Lives Matter movement, working every day for justice in our country. Let us wake up. Let us stay awake. And now, in this time, and in this place, and in this good company, let us worship together.
As we light our sanctuary chalice this morning, those joining on Zoom are invited to light a chalice or candle near you to connect us more deeply with one another. You get the bad news and the sunrise on the same day. You cry at the headlines and then laugh at a baby wearing a hat shaped like a bear. This is the dual citizenship of being alive. Rage and reverence, grief and grace. You are allowed to feel both. You are allowed to scream and still notice how good the soup is. You don't have to choose. Let it all in. We kindle our flame this morning to illuminate the way through all that we feel and all that we carry.
We light our community candle this morning for all who are afraid. In Minnesota, here in our own Portland neighborhoods, across the miles between and beyond. We don't know how this week will unfold or how we might be called upon to show up, but may we have the wisdom and the courage to discern with clarity and choose nothing short of love as we hold one another close. Will you take a breath with me? Our opening hymn this morning is number 276 in your gray hymn book, or up on the screen, O Young and Fearless Prophet. Dale will play it through once, and then we'll rise on our feet or in our hearts and join our voices in song. In the first chapter of Richard Rohr's book that I introduced last week, and that's on the back table, that has been guiding me through this last couple of weeks of preaching, he writes about the Latin term lacrimae rerum. The following are Rohr's words. In the first book of Virgil's Aeneid, line 462, the hero Aeneas gazes at a mural that depicts the battle of the Trojan War and the deaths of his friends and countrymen. He is so moved with sorrow at the tragedy of it all that he speaks of the tears of things, lacrimae rerum. As Seamus Heaney translates it, there are tears at the heart of things, at the heart of our human experience. Only tears, he writes, can move both Aeneas and us beyond our deserved and immobilizing anger at evil, death, and injustice without losing the deep legitimacy of that anger. The phrase, the tears of things, has continued to be quoted and requoted in many contexts over the centuries. You can find it on war memorials, in the work of poets, in the music of Franz Liszt, in the writings of Pope Francis, because the phrase has no prepositions in Latin. It allows two meanings at the same time. Virgil seems to be saying that there are both tears in things and tears for things. And each of these tears leads to the other. Though translators often feel compelled to choose one or the other meaning, I believe, Rohr says, the poet implies it is both. Tears. Raise your hand if tears come easily to you. Raise your hand if you cry rarely, if ever. Raise your hand if it depends on the day. Yeah. There's no value judgment here. It's not better or worse to cry more or less. It just is. There's even medical reasons why some of us can't cry or some of us cry a lot. So though we're talking about tears today, if you're someone who has a hard time crying, perhaps you can reframe, when I use the word tears, you can reframe that to that feeling that happens that leads some to tears. There's an incredible piece in the Smithsonian Magazine from like 10 years ago that highlights photographs taken by Rosalind Fisher of dried human tears under a microscope. It all began when she, out of curiosity, caught one of her tears on a glass slide, dried it, and slid it into a standard light microscope. She was fascinated and began to wonder if different kinds of tears that came for different reasons had different structures and looked different. In the words of the Smithsonian article, this idle musing ended up launching a multi-year photography project, She Went All In which Fisher collected, examined, and photographed more than 100 tears of her own, of other people's, even stealing some from babies. It turns out that tears fall into three categories: psychic, triggered by emotions; basal, released continuously in small amounts to lubricate the cornea; and reflex, triggered by irritants like dust, tear gas, and onions. And not only do they include oils, these tears that we shed, antibodies and enzymes suspended in salt water, but they also include distinct molecules like protein-based hormones, depending on the category. I did a deep dive too. Linus is going to pull up now some photographs for us to look at. And if you're watching this on YouTube later, please note, we can't share these images because we don't have permission, but you can Google this and you'll find it pretty easily. So this first image is a tear of grief. Next picture, please. The second image is a tears that came from feelings of change. Next, please. This is a tear of endings and beginnings. Next, please. This is a tear of laughter. And one last one. This is the tear from getting onion juice sprayed in your eye. Thank you. So I was struck by words from Rosalind Fisher, the photographer, as she reflected on this project. After looking at hundreds of tears, she began to see them as landscapes, large scale landscapes, like what you see when you fly overhead, when you look down at land from a plane window. She calls them an aerial view of emotional terrain. And she says tears are the medium of our most primal language in moments as unrelenting as death, as basic as hunger, and as complex as a rite of passage. She says it's as though each one of our tears carries a microcosm of the collective human experience, like one drop of an ocean. The tears of things, both the tears in things and tears for things, perhaps bring us to the heart of the human experience and help us to move from anger, from despair, from fear, through to the world that awaits us on the other side, where our drop or drops might merge with the wider ocean of compassion for the world's suffering and in turn connect us so deeply with one another and with this life we share and love that nothing can stop us from answering love's call. Would you join me in the spirit of prayer, spirit of love and justice, because we know these two must be held together if we are to get where we are going. Be with us now, in a time when so much is changing, unimaginable, horrific, multiplying by the day. Give us the strength not to turn our heads, but to lift our voices, our bodies, our very selves, to keep bending the moral arc toward thriving, toward equity, toward care for all. Help us examine and act on what we are learning, not only about the world, but about ourselves, how we shape, echo, and amplify the noise of division. Turn our voices, turn our habits, turn our silence until what once divided us becomes a song of resistance. Settle us out of our minds and into our hearts so we may release whatever keeps us disconnected from one another. We cry out, "How long?" and we answer back, "Now," and in the past, and into the future, because justice does not take a break from tyranny. Fascism cannot change the face of compassion. Equity will not surrender to the false comfort of the inequitable. Let us remember that hope has feathers, that it takes wing, not because it is naive, but because it is present, active, alive. And let us rest not in complacency, but in truth. We are survivors, we are thrivers, and we will not stop until our work is done. Amen.
Now is the time in our service when we engage in the spiritual practice of generosity. Our gifts support the ministry of this congregation and our work in the broader community. Each week, 1/3 of our offering is given away to a local nonprofit organization doing work to advance our shared values in the world. This month's Share the Plate recipient is Portland Wheelers, who provide people who cannot ride a bike free opportunities to get outdoors for therapeutic recreation, socialization, adventure, and fun. Donations can be made now as the basket is passed, through the donate button on our website, or if you are a member on Breeze, remembering to make note that your gift is for Share the Plate. If you are visiting us for the first time this morning, please know that your presence is your gift to us. At this time, our offering will be collected and gratefully received. The following words come from the journal of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., an entry from January 1956 in Montgomery, Alabama. And in it, he recounts an event often referred to as his kitchen table experience or midnight experience. It was around midnight. You can have some strange experiences at midnight, he says through the recording. It was January 1956 at the time, and Dr. King had just received yet another threat. The voice on the other end had called him an offensive name, followed by, quote, "We are tired of you and your mess now, and if you aren't out of this town in 3 days, we're going to blow your brains out and blow up your house." I sat there and thought about my beautiful little daughter who had just been born. She was the darling of my life. I'd come in night after night and seen that little gentle smile. And I sat at that table thinking about that little girl and thinking about the fact that she could be taken away from me any minute. And I discovered then that religion had to become real to me, and I had to know God for myself. And I bowed down over that cup of coffee. I never will forget it. I prayed a prayer, and I prayed out loud that night. I said, Lord, I'm down here trying to do what's right. I think I'm right. I think the cause that we represent is right. But Lord, I must confess that I'm awake now. I'm faltering. I'm losing my courage. And I can't let the people see me like this, because if they see me weak and losing my courage, they will begin to get weak. Then it happened, and it seemed at that moment that I could hear an inner voice saying to me, Martin Luther, stand up for righteousness. Stand up for justice. Stand up for truth, and I will be with you even until the end of the world.
I fully admit, writes Richard Rohr, that the Hebrew prophets are hard to read. Their writings invariably start with long stretches of strident anger and judgment. And yet, there is more going on beneath the surface, even in the portions of these books that strike us as harsh or off-putting. Last Sunday, we reflected on the ways in which prophets are what Margaret Wheatley described as individuals who appear first as an early warning system within any culture at risk, trying to warn us about the potential suffering of our own society's behavior, what it could bring or what it already is bringing upon us collectively. They warn their people and call them into holy chaos through which society can be transformed for the good. What's going on beneath the surface, however, is the prophet's journey, a journey of the heart, the internal pilgrimage from anger through sadness into grounded compassion. All the prophets, Rohr writes, started with anger or even rage at all the right things: injustice, oppression, deceit, misuse of money, power, even religion itself. But with only a couple of exceptions, they did not stop there. They were not just reformers, they were also mystics who were captivated by the wholeness and beauty of the heart of reality at the same time as they were confronting injustice. If you really study the resistance literature of the Hebrew prophets, you see that they travel through various stages of spiritual development and maturity. Often they begin not only with anger and rage, but the language of retribution, threat, wrath, thinking they're better, holier than everyone else. There's a lot of finger pointing. But rage and ego are not sustainable. The underlying source of anger for any of us and all of us is almost always pain. And we are broken out of anger by connecting with our pain and the world's pain. Empathy liberates us, even though it hurts. At a certain point, the prophets touch sorrow through vulnerability. They meet and touch the tears at the heart of all things. Tears usually come unbidden. What is their free message to us and those who observe them, Rohr asks? Has humanity gotten the message yet? A world of emotion, suspended in a drop of salt water, our most primal language. This is beyond words, this message, right? That's why we looked at images this morning. Whatever it is a message too deep for words, and yet through our tears, we are transformed. In the spring of 1968, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. traveled to Marks, Mississippi, at the time the poorest community in the poorest county in the poorest state in America. He was there as part of his efforts, his work to launch the Poor People's Campaign and to preach at the Valley Queen Baptist Church in Marks. While he was there, on more than one occasion, what he witnessed and experienced, the conversations he had, the children he met, brought him to tears. King had seen poverty, a lot of it. He had seen and lived oppression and struggle, vitriol and violence, and still in Marks, Mississippi, he wept. Angie read for us this morning words from King's kitchen table experience, a moment where his faith, his courage, his strength were wavering. We'll revisit those words again this afternoon in our multi-faith service in South Portland. They speak to me this year. I need to know that those I look up to as leaders, as prophets and sages, had moments like I do, where I do not know if I am cut out for the level of bravery that I feel my faith asks of me in these times. We do not know if King shed a tear or many with his head bowed over that cup of coffee in the middle of the night, the kind of tear that can be caught on a slide, dried, and magnified. What we do know is that this prophetic voice, teacher, and leader who has become a guide for so many people, an example of courage in the face of terror, clarity in the face of chaos, the prophetic voice of MLK was moved by fear and sadness and tears, not just anger and outrage at the way things were. King arrived at solidarity through sadness. His faltering and his fear led to a deepening of his faith and, in turn, a more powerful ministry. Tears can, of course, be weaponized, can be used to manipulate, to get attention. They can be turned on and left on as an excuse to avoid the work. Those aren't the tears we're talking about. Tears in this context we're wading through together, they're a metaphor, symbolic of a transformative process that carries us deeper into empathy and awe, connection and action, truth rooted in love so deep it changes all who encounter it. Tears are the movement from A to B. Weeping is not the same as wallowing because wallowing doesn't move us. It leaves us where we are. Transformation is the key, is the magic, the alchemy of the prophetic journey. It's not simply a trip from anger to sadness to compassion, A to B to C. It's the way this trip changes us. The manner in which the way of tears changes the one who weeps and any who draw near to the weeping. Somehow, Rohr writes, the prophets knew that the soul must weep to be a soul at all. Some of you, over the last number of years, have expressed to me that when you sit in church on Sunday mornings, some faucet turns on and your eyes seem to drip out of nowhere. This can be especially true when folks start attending church for the first time. I can't explain exactly what it is about church that makes it such a great container for crying, but it is. Perhaps it's because spiritual community is a place where we know love is expected of us, whether or not we know how to actualize it, where all those who cross the threshold of this place, whether online or in person, are expected to join in the journey from anger and judgment through sorrow to a more compassionate heart. More often than not, tears usher us onto that path, and they reveal to us, sometimes in surprising ways, the depth to which we care. If MLK were alive today, I believe he would still be weeping. The state of things is a daily horror, and each tear would transform him as each of our tears, literal or even those unshed but felt in our depths, each of those transform us and pull us back onto the impossibly exhausting and endlessly rewarding path of love. It is okay that we weep. It is critical that we shed tears, that we move through our sorrow and grief for the world, meeting it with an open heart, strong and fierce as they are tender. Rohr reflects, in my experience, tears have helped me glimpse the big secret that I only half know, that human beings are really made of love and made for love. And perhaps our transformation, the transformation that the world so desperately needs, the result of our participating in this pilgrimage of the heart, is what many call grace, which comes, he observes, like the best and worst of our tears, usually uninvited, uncreated, unchosen, and unexpected. From there, tears do their work if we will just allow a little secret chemistry in the soul. To shed a tear, whether in this sanctuary over a hot drink at the kitchen table at midnight, scrolling the headlines on your phone, watching your child sleep, or standing in witness while unmarked vehicles descend upon a neighborhood business, to shed a tear is to connect your one drop, a microcosm of the collective human experience, with an ocean of infinite compassion and grace. And from such a firm foundation as this, I believe wholeheartedly in the possibilities of what we can accomplish for, but more importantly, with one another. I believe the possibilities of what we can accomplish are profound. May the tears at the heart of all things touch our souls, that we might have the power of humble courage, never to give up on liberation, never to give up on love. May it be so, and blessed be. We'll close in song with hymn 205 in our hymnals, and up on the screen, Amazing Grace. Dale will play it through, but I'm sure you know the tune. Let us rise and sing together. In the words of the poet Adrian Rich. My heart is moved by all I cannot save. So much has been destroyed. I have to cast my lot with those who, age after age, perversely, with no extraordinary power, choose to reconstitute the world. May we be so brave, for our worship has ended and our service begins. Go in peace.